Hello, my green skins, and welcome to another Orc War Chief Reviews. And today, we're going to be talking about Assault on Precinct 13. No, not that one. Get up to 500 subscribers? Maybe I'll do that. No, we're going to be talking about one of the better movies out there. Another John Carpenter classic. Because I hate to say it, the man, his movies have an unfortunate situation. They're either considered renowned movies after the fact, and this is one of those. This is probably, if not one of the best of his action movies in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of problems with them. So let's start off with the breakdown. How did I run into this movie? You know, the funny thing about John Carpenter is, if it wasn't for the movie The Thing, I don't think I would know about his movies. Like, yeah, sure, I saw Big Trouble in Little China, but I saw it on, like, TV. TV don't necessarily relate to me actually finding out about this and buying the DVD or the Blu-ray. Escape from LA, Escape from New York. Again, one of those situations where I'm like, yeah, if I didn't watch this, I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for the movie The Thing. And that's the best way to put it. John Carpenter's The Thing gave me a little more oomph to the ice cream, so to speak, of finding out about his career. I absolutely liked almost everything he's done. There's one or two movies that are kind of flops or they're not that good, but they still something to talk about, and that's the great thing about John Carpenter movies as a whole. There's still something fun to talk about, or something interesting. So let's break this down and let's start with the acting. So the acting in this movie is probably one of the best acting I have seen in a movie in a very, very long time. There are only about 4, maybe 5 actors in this movie that are kind of going to be the main cast, but everything else in this movie is done very, very well. The acting in this is phenomenal in a lot of ways. So we start with, let's go with Austin Stokes, the young lieutenant that's just gotten the job. Ethan Bishop, the police chief of Precinct 13. Then you got, I believe her name is Lauren Zimmer, who is Leah. Holy shit. Okay, bad Mamba Jamba. Bad Mamba Jamba juice all the way through. This woman is amazing. And just sheer badass. I like her. Nancy Keys as Julie, who plays a basically a what are they called now? Telephone operator. And then we get Darwin Johnson, Napoleon Williams or Wills. This is a serial killer who ends up at the precinct. Also, apparently a cowboy actor and stuff. From what I was reading, he's a little well known back in the day. His acting in this is phenomenal. Tory Burton as Wells. And Wells is a car thief that's brought in. Now, the rest of these people, there's no point in really bringing them up because they really kind of don't have a long... they don't have a long sight on this movie. But you get to see these actors the most. The 3 you get to see are Lauren, Ethan Bishop, and Napoleon are the ones that you get to see the most in this movie. And they are phenomenal. Holy shit. The acting in this is so good. And it's so well done. Next, let's get to I guess this would be special effects for this one. So the visual effects for this movie are a lot of squibs. A lot of squibs. And a lot of fake blood. And that is kind of going to be the fun thing about this movie. This movie is very, very heavy on the squibs, the sounds of shots, the silent shots, and a lot of gun porn in this movie. which works for it. Now, the problem with this movie is going to be something I'm going to have to bring up, is a little bit of the controversy. But one of the greatest things this movie does with its visual effects, and one of the special stuff is, and this is how it's shot, is that the second that man runs into the precinct in the story, the movie switches to a real time. Everything that happens within that 40 minutes is actually 40 minutes of actual time in the movie. Up until that point, you're getting kind of point-to-point basis leading up to this huge, huge fight-off. Really, really well done. Next, we're going to get to the music. All right, John Carpenter has a theme to his music. It's always been kind of good, and it's either been hit or miss. It kind of has that Silent Hill, you know, bang sound and a couple other things that kind of feel very Silent Hill-ish at the beginning. But then the main music is this bum ba da ba dum, bum ba da da da, bum ba da da da, bum da 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 da. I actually use that in a D&D campaign. I'm actually going to use it in a new D&D campaign shortly. I just don't want to tell the players. They'll find out eventually. Like any of my players listen to my music, listen to my reviews. Tee No, but this right here, that ba ba da 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 do do dun 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 dun, that works. There's also a very melancholy. There's not much to it because again, the story for this movie is going to be very interesting to tell because of the fact that the music doesn't have much. But this story is going to be fun. And God, why do I pick these movies that are hard to kind of explain? Our story begins so discombobulated, I don't know what to think about this one. So let's break her down a little bit. So it starts at 3 in the morning. A bunch of these gangsters, these gang members, I don't know, Satanists. I don't know. They're kind of a cross between a little bit of everything violent, if you really want to get into it. This extreme violence cult are gunned down by cops. It cuts to these guys sitting there listening to the radio. I guess they're either the leaders or... I don't know if they're the leaders or the groups to this. I have no idea who these guys are. Cuts to them cutting themselves, kind of making a blood pact that they're going to cause carnage and violence. Cut to our Mr. Bishop, the young police officer, lieutenant, who's just made lieutenant. He's asking for his first kind of, you know, I want to get my commission out. They're sending him to precinct 13. Precinct 13 is a discommissioned precinct. Basically, they're moving everything out of this precinct because this ghetto is so bad. They're just gonna tear the whole fucking place down. Like it's like the slums. I don't know if it's California, LA. I can't tell exactly. Cut to these guys driving around with their guns, getting ready to kill people as they're aiming at all these homeless and, you know, destitute people. Then cut again, flash cut, to a man and his daughter. This man and his daughter are driving around. He's trying to get his daughter to convince his, I guess the divorced wife, hey, let him move in so he can get out of the slums. Cut to an ice cream man being tracked down by by these evil gang leaders. Then cut to the precinct. That's literally how this movie shoots. And by the way, you get timestamps so you can kind of see where it is. Cut to him showing up, talking to a secretary for the police station who's been there for 5 years, and the operator and a police chief. He's locking down firearms, guns, and equipment, and he's like, yeah, no, once this is done, this is done. They have a very good conversation. Like, these two guys have a good talk. Everybody here has, like, character, and that's the great thing about this movie. He has a talk with the secretary. He has a talk with the police chief. Then cut back to these gangbangers chasing this basically ice cream truck. Now, the little girl runs up and goes, ooh, ice cream! And she wants ice cream, so she goes to get her ice cream. her vanilla ice cream. And she goes up, oh, can I get some ice cream? The guy's like, no, we're closed, go away. No, but your sound's on. I want thing. Okay, well, okay, kid, what do you want? I want vanilla swirl. She gets her vanilla swirl. Now, meanwhile, the gangbangers have caught up to this guy and have basically shot this guy with a silencer. She's like, wait a minute, this isn't vanilla swirl. She runs up and goes, hi, mister, I wanted vanilla. Bang! And she gets her vanilla swirl with blood. I can't show that scene because, I mean, that freaking pissed a lot of people off. I'm not going to show that scene, but that scene happens. Now, that the father sees his daughter bleeding out on the ground dead. He sees this. Now, the guy who's about to die, the ice cream guy's like, gun. So he gets the gun, and then he goes on because he's dealing with grief, horror, and the terror of his daughter being violently murdered. And so he chases after these gang members. Now, we cut to the fun that is a group of prisoners, with one of them being a serial killer on death row. Mr. Napoleon. Mr. Napoleon is talking to I guess it's a bailiff, or, well, it is a cop. It's a detective cop. And a couple other people, and the warden. So, the warden, being an asshole, throws him on his ass, which has him basically, Napoleon says this all the time, you gotta smoke. So he wants his cigarette. So you have a prisoner, a death row inmate, some guy that's super sick and coughing, and a car thief, all together going in a chain gang to go to this new prison. As they're driving there, this guy gets more and more sick. So as he's getting more and more sick, they have to pull into a precinct. Well, there's only one precinct close enough, precinct 13. Meanwhile, this guy is chasing after this guy who just murdered his daughter in cold blood. He wants blood. He wants vengeance, and he is going for it. Now, we go back to this is literally how it starts. Then we go back to our regular scheduled program. This bailiff guy and a couple of the prisoners are all here. They're going to put him in the cells, kind of keep him, because this one guy's so sick. They're not sure if it's tuberculosis. They're not sure if it's some other disease that's going to make everybody sick. So instead of risking it, they're going to get a doctor. So they're sitting there complaining about a doctor getting stuff done. Meanwhile, this guy has finally caught up to the man who murdered his daughter. The guy gets out, starts shooting at him. He shoots and kills this guy. The father murders the man who murdered his daughter. Vengeance. Then he kind of snaps out of it. He goes to call the police. Unfortunately, the other gang leaders saw this. They want blood. Blood for blood's sake, baby. Blood for the blood god, as some people would say. Thanks 40K. How you're ruining your freaking work. All right, so he runs in. At this point, the movie switches from this discombobulated movie right, like, fucking zones in. It's pure focus. At this point, you can start a timer. He actually says within the scene of the movie, 30 minutes goes by, and that's going to be later on. The timer will actually have said 30 minutes. So he zones in, runs in, and it's like start trying to say something, but he can't speak anymore. He's gone through PTSD. He's having his problems. Now it starts. This guy goes to leave with his prisoners. He's like, fuck, I can't get anybody to get here. Fuck it, I'm just gonna leave. He badmouths, this lieutenant. This lieutenant's just like a sub. He's not an actual guy that needs to be there. He's a sub guy. He sucks. He's basically like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? I can't do anything about this. Not my real situation here. So they go to leave. That's when this group of gangbangers decide, because that's what they are. They decide today they're going to kill these people. They're going to murder them all. And boy, do they start the murdering. That's when it gets violent. Very, very violent. They kill a bunch of these guys. And so these guys are just trying to fight their ways out. They're getting shot at. There's bullets everywhere, a lot of silence shots. They're killing everybody. And it became extremely violent right away. All these shots are going off. People are screaming. People are our brave lieutenant gets the prisoners back in the jail cell. The ones that are still alive, which are only two guys, our serial killer and our car thief, and everybody else is ducking. And basically they have now killed at least 6 guys, and they are going for it. So the time they stop for a bit, and then they start off this kind of like, they show up, the 3 gang members show up, show that they've marked themselves for death. Violence is coming down every path. So he says, look, I got no choice. We got to let these prisoners out. We have no choice. We might as well, we're dead. We're all going to die, or they're going to fucking kill. They're going to kill one of us, or they're going to kill all of us. They're not going to care who they kill. He's basically come to the conclusion they're marked for death. Everyone here is about to die. Go get those guys out there. At least maybe they can fight. So that's where we get into the fight. This starts off some of the funnest violence in this movie. This is like criminals and gang members barreling through, screaming, shooting, people getting shot everywhere. Extreme violence. Gunshots going off. It gets violent very quick, and very good shots. Quick shots everywhere. So, unfortunately, after this assault, the operator has unfortunately died. So all that's left is the father, who avenged his daughter and went kind of nuts. The bad Mamba Jamba, she is one bad Mamba Jamba. The secretary, who's been with cops for the last 5 years, who's so badass, when they shoot her, she doesn't blink, she doesn't flinch. She acts calm and composed and is still able to fight enough to fight these people off. And then the serial killer and the car thief and our detective. I keep wanting to say detective, lieutenant. He's not a detective. I keep saying detective. My brain keeps wanting to go to detective for some reason. So these guys are getting ready. They know it's coming. So this starts some of the greatest conversation and speeches in this movie that are really well done. I'm not going to say much about it because I can't really. Meanwhile, there finally is the cops are starting to figure out what's going on. Something's up. Something's up in this area. There was like a lot of gunshots. Like, this went nuts. Also, one of the scarier thing, these gang members hide bodies. They move cars around to protect themselves. Like, these guys are dangerous as all holy hell. One of the crows is outside. Hi, crow. All right, next is our fun that is, they know it's coming. They have to find a way out. So they're going to send somebody out to try to get in a car, drive away, and call the cops. So as this guy, they get the car thief is the one that gets it. He kind of goes off on some stuff about how, like, wait a minute, I was about to run out before. Why didn't you guys stop me? He's like, well, I didn't stop you because, I stopped you before, but I trust you now to go call the cops. And it's like, what do you think I'm going to do that for? No, I trust you to do this. So this guy gets out. He escapes through a sewer passage. They think he's going to get away. Of course he doesn't. So now we start to see what's going on here. Now the other cops are driving around trying to find out what's going on in precinct 13. They finally get to precinct 13. Our heroes have decided they're going to go into the basement, barricade it, and maybe use a bomb or make an improvised explosive, because there was some propane or acetylene tanks sitting there. So they're going to basically cause a huge explosion. They're going to try to protect themselves and do the best they can, because when these guys come through, they're going to come through killing. So that I kind of like that they're preparing for death. I like what they say though. The thing I like is she goes, "I got 2 shots left. What, should I leave a bullet for me and you?" Our secretary says, and our guy turns and says to her, "No, no, no. You use those to shoot the first two people to come through that sewer grate." The cops finally figured out what's going on, but they missed their chance to signal the cops, so it took a little bit longer. Molotovs have gone in, they're protecting themselves, and someone decided to say hi. We're going to ignore that. And we have ourselves an explosion. The building's on fire and has been exploded. The cops finally realize something's going on, and they rush in to help. This leads with one of the best scenes in the movie, where she's like, they send the guy away, and he's like, he mouths thank you to them. And they are sitting here. They're like, "Hey, we got a stretcher for you, man." She turns and looks. She walks out. Total bad mamba jamba. This secretary, people say you can't do bad, like, oh, women can be bad. No, this was both feminine and badass. Women can be badass. Anybody who acts like they can't, hasn't seen Sigourney Weaver, man, in the Aliens franchise. Badass woman, but also feminine. You need to have both. She does both successfully. Then we cut to them going to arrest Napoleon, and he's like, "Get off him," the lieutenant says, as they walk out. Cut, print, that's this movie. Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm leaving in the bloop bloop and the high crow. Don't care. That's how cool this movie was. I went off on a tangent. This movie's great. Next, let's get to the rating and some little side points. I always hate editing movies, editing my reviews, but hey, it's how it goes. So now, let's cut to what I think about this movie and a little bit of the controversy. So that child murder at the beginning was so violent at the time, I think they had to make their own little side company and independently shoot this. This became another Grindhouse movie. Again, John Carpenter's career in a nutshell. John Carpenter and his poor fucking career, man. I don't get it. I feel bad for John Carpenter because he's got a career where he has done so many great movies and is completely fucking ignored, or like was underestimated. But not here. What am I going to give this movie? Except for like one point where the music gets like absolutely like just ear piercing, like extreme Silent Hill style. I would say this movie is a solid 8. This is a good action / horror movie. John Carpenter wanted to make a zombie movie with gang members, and he hit that bad boy right out of the fucking park. And yeah, I think that was epic. I think that was amazing, and I think it's a great movie. Absolutely. If you get a chance, sit down with your buddies, have a pizza, and watch a badass action movie with some of the best acting of the 70s. Amazing movie, top tier, definitely worth a watch. Thank you everybody for listening in. I'm Orc War Chief Reviews. Like, subscribe, share this video out. Let's hit them Patreon goals if you can. We need some money so I can get an editor. So I could just, watch videos and do the scripting for this, and that's it. And we will see you next time on Orc War Chief Reviews. Have yourselves a very, very good night.